Byte-Sized Tech, where we like to blend casual conversations with some hopefully insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Always fun to dive into the tech world.
Absolutely. And today, we're looking at some tech trends that I think could really shake things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking everything from cars to chips to, you guessed it, iPhones. Buckle up because we've got some seriously surprising insights, like how Apple's testing some pretty groundbreaking tech in their budget phones.
Oh, yeah. Definitely some interesting stuff happening there.
Yeah, so let's kick things off by talking about Carvana.
Okay.
You know that company that wants you to buy your car online?
Yeah.
Now, the used car market has been, well, it's been a bit of a roller coaster lately.
Kind of crazy.
And Carvana's definitely been feeling the bumps.
Yeah.
Their profits per vehicle have taken a hit, and used car prices are, well, all over the place.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They're playing the long game. Yeah, instead of getting caught up in, the day-to-day, the fluctuations, Carvana's focusing on building a really smooth and efficient operation.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're all about making that customer experience top-notch and ensuring their business model can thrive, in the long run.
So they're really prioritizing the customer experience.
Exactly. They're not just trying to, make a quick buck. They're building something that can last, and I like that.
Yeah, that's a smart approach.
And get this, they're not afraid of the EV revolution.
Oh, really?
In fact, they're embracing it.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of traditional car companies are kind of dragging their feet.
Totally. But not Carvana. They see electric and autonomous vehicles as huge opportunities, not threats.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah, and their sales figures back that up.
Oh, yeah.
They're selling EVs at 4 times the industry average.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's a pretty clear sign they're ahead of the curve and understand what the future of driving looks like.
Definitely seems like they're onto something.
It makes you wonder if buying a car online is the way to go.
Right.
Would you take the plunge with Carvana?
I don't know. I might need to see that vending machine in person first.
That's pretty wild, right? Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about something totally different. Semiconductors.
Okay.
You know those tiny chips that power basically everything these days?
Oh, yeah, the brains of modern technology.
Exactly. And the demand for these chips is exploding.
It seems like everything needs a chip now.
Right. And part of that is thanks to advancements in artificial intelligence.
AI is definitely driving a lot of innovation.
For sure. And one area that's really driving this demand is deep-sea data processing.
Deep-sea data processing, that sounds intense.
It is. We're talking about analyzing massive amounts of data collected from the ocean floor.
Like what kind of data?
Things like underwater sensors, sonar readings, all that juicy information.
Wow, so there's a whole world of data down there.
Oh yeah, tons of it. And this requires immense computing power, which translates to a huge need for, you guessed it, more chips.
Makes sense. The more data we collect, the more processing power we need.
Exactly. And that's not all. We've also got geopolitical tensions.
Oh, right. That's a big factor.
And a big push for domestic chip production here in the U.S., which adds another layer of complexity to the whole situation.
It's definitely a complicated landscape.
It sounds like the semiconductor industry is a bit of a pressure cooker right now.
Yeah, you could say that.
And there's a lot of debate swirling around the issue of tariffs on chips.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Some folks argue that tariffs will just drive up prices, while others believe the impact will be minimal.
It's tough to say what the real impact will be.
It's a complicated issue with no easy answers.
Definitely not.
Well, the cost of chips is actually a pretty small percentage of the final price of most products, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not like a few extra bucks for a chip will break the bank. But I get the argument for bringing manufacturing back to the U.S.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it.
More control over production, less reliance on other countries, all that jazz.
It's about national security, too.
Exactly. And that brings us to the interesting case of TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company.
Okay.
They're the world's largest contract chip maker, and they're currently expanding their operations in the U.S.
Interesting. So they're making a big investment here.
They are, but isn't there some pushback against this?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I've heard concerns about a foreign company having too much influence over our chip supply.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah, but here's a fun fact. TSMC's founder is actually an American citizen.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So is TSMC a Taiwanese company or an American company?
It's kind of a blurred line, isn't it?
Right. It's definitely a unique situation. And what about their potential collaboration with Intel?
Oh, yeah, that could be huge.
Intel, as you know, has been facing some challenges lately.
Yeah, they've been struggling to keep up.
And a partnership with TSMC could be a game changer for them.
I could see that happening.
It could help boost U.S. chip production and maybe even revitalize Intel's position in the industry.
Yeah, it would be a win-win.
That would be huge. But even with all this investment in infrastructure, there's one crucial ingredient that's often overlooked: the brains behind the operation.
Oh, yeah, the people who actually make it all work.
You hit the nail on the head. The U.S. desperately needs more skilled engineers, particularly those with a focus on hardware development.
We need more people who can actually build these things.
Absolutely. It's a major challenge that we need to address if we want to be a real player in the semiconductor game.
It's a wake-up call for sure.
We need to invest heavily in STEM education and training if we want to stay competitive in this rapidly evolving landscape.
Yeah, we need to inspire the next generation of engineers.
So what role do you see the U.S. playing in the future of semiconductor production?
That's a great question. It's a question we all need to ponder. But for now, let's shift gears again and talk about something that's truly revolutionizing the tech world: open source technology.
Open source, yeah, it used to sound kind of geeky,
Right.
but now it's like everywhere.
It really is.
What's the deal with that?
It's pretty amazing to see how it's gone from, like you said, kind of an underground movement to this major force in the tech industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about saving money anymore.
Right.
Companies are realizing that open source gives them more control over their tech, a more flexibility to scale, and it can really speed up innovation.
So instead of being locked into some proprietary system from, a big tech company,
Right.
you can use open source platforms to build your own solutions on your own terms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about AI, which is, becoming so central to how businesses operate, having that control over your technology and your intellectual property is a really big deal.
Especially since AI is evolving so quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like every day there's some new breakthrough or algorithm.
It's moving fast.
Yeah.
And open source platforms make it easier for companies to keep up with that rapid pace of development. They can leverage the collective intelligence of a global community of developers, constantly improving and refining these AI models.
Makes sense.
And they can do it all without breaking the bank.
That's the other thing about open source, right?
Yeah.
It's often much more affordable
Absolutely.
than traditional software.
Think about companies like Zoom, Salesforce, even SK Telecom.
Wow.
They're all using open source platforms to deploy AI at scale.
Huh.
It's like a secret weapon for staying competitive.
It sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
But I imagine there's some downsides too, right?
of course.
Like security concerns, for example.
You raise a valid point. Security is definitely a concern, especially when you're dealing with these, complex, deep tech applications.
Right.
Since the code is publicly accessible, it could potentially be more vulnerable to attacks.
Mm-hmm.
But many open source platforms are taking this issue very seriously.
Okay, good.
They're implementing robust security measures to mitigate those risks.
So they're not just, throwing code out there and hoping for the best.
Right. They're actively working to make these platforms secure and reliable.
Good to know.
Many of them are even running their own cloud infrastructure, often in North America and Europe, to ensure that data security and control.
Interesting.
And on top of that, the regulatory landscape is evolving as well.
Oh, yeah.
Governments worldwide are starting to recognize the potential of open source AI,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at ways to support its development while addressing those potential concerns.
So it seems like open source AI is only going to become more prominent.
Without a doubt, it's attracting major investment too, with billions of dollars pouring into these companies and projects.
Wow.
That's a clear sign that this isn't just a passing trend.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it, the power of collaboration and shared knowledge, driving innovation on a global scale.
It's incredible.
It makes you wonder, do you think open source will eventually become the dominant model for AI development?
It's a fascinating question, only time will tell.
Yeah.
But for now, let's zoom in on something a little closer to home. The iPhone.
Okay.
Apple recently released the iPhone 16e.
The 16, yeah, I heard some buzz about this one.
Yeah, it's causing quite a stir.
Seems like Apple's trying to shake things up in the budget smartphone market.
They definitely are. It represents a shift in their strategy. They've rebranded it, bumped up the price. They're positioning it as a more premium offering.
Yeah, they dropped the SE and went with 16e.
Right.
Makes it clear that this phone is part of the flagship 16 family.
Exactly.
It's a pretty clever marketing move, if you ask me.
It is, and the upgrades are significant.
Like what?
We're talking a larger display, the latest chipset, and drumroll, please.
Okay.
Apple's brand new in-house modem.
Wait, their own modem?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal, right? I thought they've always used Qualcomm modems.
They have for a long time,
Yeah.
but Apple's been working towards this for years, slowly reducing their reliance on Qualcomm.
Huh.
And now they've finally taken the plunge.
So what does this mean for Apple and for us, the consumers?
Well, for Apple, it could mean higher profit margins and more control over their designs.
Okay.
They're calling the shots now, which gives them more flexibility, potentially allows them to innovate faster.
So they're basically using the 16E as a testing ground
Exactly.
before rolling it out to their, flagship iPhones.
It's a smart move. If there are any kinks to work out, they can address them without impacting their high-end customers.
Makes sense.
And they've also integrated Apple Intelligence into the 16E, which means budget-conscious consumers now get access to AI-powered features that were previously only available on the more expensive models.
That's a good way to justify the price increase while still appealing to a wider market.
Right.
So, what's your take? Do you think Apple's new approach to budget iPhones will be a hit, or will the higher price tag scare people away? Yeah, it's a gamble. For sure, Apple's always been known for their premium pricing, but they're walking a fine line here.
Yeah.
People love a good deal, but they also want the latest and greatest tech, so it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
I think it's a bold move that reflects a broader trend we're seeing across the tech industry,
Oh yeah,
making cutting-edge technology more accessible to everyone.
that's a great point. It's like the democratization of innovation.
Exactly.
Back in the day, only the wealthy could afford the newest gadgets.
Right?
But now, even budget-friendly options are packed with some seriously impressive features.
And that's a win for consumers.
For sure.
It pushes the entire industry forward
Yeah.
when companies are competing to offer the best value at every price point.
I totally agree. Well, that just about wraps up our whirlwind tour of some of the most exciting tech trends happening right now.
It was a good one.
From self-driving cars to tiny chips to sleek iPhones, it's clear that the tech world never stands still.
Never a dull moment.
And that's what makes it so fascinating to follow. There's always something new to discover, some new innovation that's going to change the way we live, work, and play.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions. We'll catch you in the next one.